Hello, everyone, and welcome back. We have some fascinating facts for you today, so without further ado, here are 25 random facts to make your day.
Getting Played by Stephen Hawking.
During an interview with Stephen Hawking in 2004, the camera operator unplugged the cable, causing an alarm to sound and Hawking to slump forward in his chair. Worried that they had killed him, everyone rushed forward, only to find Hawking giggling at his own joke. The alarm was from an office computer losing power.
Stephen Hawking's final resting place.
Following his death in 2018, the ashes of Stephen Hawking were buried between the graves of Sir Isaac Newton and Charles Darwin in a section of Westminster Abbey known as the Scientists' Corner.
FBI's struggle to hire hackers.
The FBI has struggled to hire hackers because of an FBI hiring rule that applicants must not have used marijuana for the last 3 years. Or maybe they just couldn't hack it.
Putting acts of war to a national vote.
In 1916, there was a proposed amendment to the U.S. Constitution that all acts of war would have to be put to a national vote, and anyone voting yes would have to register as a volunteer for service in the United States Army.
One good turn deserves another.
A fan drove 3 hours to deliver rapper Boozy Badass a much needed insulin dose after he put out a plea on social media asking for someone to bring it to him. The fan had refused payment and only asked for a photo. On the way home, they stopped off at a store and bought a scratch off ticket and won $10,000. The fan's selflessness and kindness was truly inspiring, and getting that winning ticket was definitely a nice payback.
A blob of toothpaste.
Have you ever wondered what that blob of toothpaste on packages and advertisements was called? Well, wonder no more. It's called a nurdle. There isn't any good reason why it's called a nurdle, so this could be a case where the fact is just as useless as the word.
The shortest war in history.
The Anglo-Zanzibar War was a military conflict between the United Kingdom and the Sultanate of Zanzibar on the 27th of August 1896. The conflict lasted between 38 and 45 minutes, marking it as the shortest recorded war in history. I guess they didn't want to fight after all.
World's shortest flight.
The world's shortest scheduled flight takes under 2 minutes. If the winds permit, passengers can travel from Westray to Papa Westray in the Orkney archipelago of Scotland in just 47 seconds. That's barely enough time to buckle a seatbelt.
Largest snowflake on record.
The largest snowflake on record measured 38 centimeters wide and 20 centimeters thick. That's one big snowflake.
Elbow me this.
Did you know it's impossible to lick your elbow? You're trying it now anyway, aren't you?
Most expensive work of art ever created at a live auction.
Banksy, the famous street artist, once sold a piece of work at auction that partially shredded itself once the gavel went down. The buyer had bid and paid an eye-watering $1.4 million. Not to be outdone, a few years later, another buyer had paid a whopping $25 million for the same partially shredded painting.
The boy who refused to leave.
In 1959, police were called to a segregated library in South Carolina when a 9-year-old black boy refused to leave. He later got a PhD in physics from MIT and died in 1986, an astronaut aboard the Space Shuttle Challenger. The library that refused to lend him the books is now named after him.
Orange in color.
Orange the fruit isn't named after the color, it's the other way around. Before the 15th century, orange was considered a shade of red. Prior to the Renaissance, yellow-red was the only term the English language had for orange.
Carrots are good for the eyes. Or are they?
During World War II, British intelligence spread the rumor that Royal Air Force pilots enjoyed superior night vision because they ate copious amounts of carrots. Except it was a total lie. The truth was, the RAF was using their newly invented radar to spot German planes in the dark. It was a massive military secret, and in order to keep German intelligence in the dark, they made up the carrot fact. While vitamin A found in carrots is good for the eyes, it's probably not good enough to spot enemy planes in the dark.
The truth about chameleons.
Chameleons don't change color to blend in with their environment. Color change is a critical part of chameleon communication. They use colors to signal moods, aggression, territorial behavior, and intention to mate. It's like wearing a mood ring on your skin.
The Piano Man's concert seats.
The piano man himself, Billy Joel, prefers not to sell front row seats at his concerts in order to see real fans right in front of him. He gives the seats away to random people in the cheap seats, so the front row isn't just wealthy people. That's a generous gesture from a legendary musician.
Cancer is not a fight or a battle.
Many doctors have stopped calling cancer treatments a fight or a battle. They argue these terms misrepresent how treatment works, and if treatment fails, the patient is left with a sense of guilt and a false belief they didn't fight hard enough.
World's longest freshwater beach.
Ontario is home to the world's longest freshwater beach, Wasaga Beach, located on the shores of Georgian Bay. That's a lot of sand to get in your swimsuit.
The Terminator not allowed to dub his own role.
Arnold Schwarzenegger wasn't allowed to dub his own role in Terminator in German, as his accent is considered very rural by German Austrian standards, and it would be too ridiculous to have a death machine from the future to come back in time and sound like a hillbilly.
My Scottish maid could do better.
In the 1880s, the Harvard Observatory director was frustrated with his staff, and he would say, "My Scottish maid can do better." So he hired a Scottish maid. Wilhelmina Fleming ran a team for decades, classified tens of thousands of stars, discovered white dwarfs, and the Horsehead Nebula. Looks like the director found a star employee.
Don't mess with her or her friends.
Carrie Fisher once delivered a cow tongue inside a Tiffany box to a predatory producer who had assaulted her friend. She said, "Next time, the delivery will be something of yours in a much smaller box." Well, that's one way to get your point across.
Hero Parrot says girl who was choking.
Willie, a parrot, alerted its owner, Megan Howard, when the toddler she was babysitting began to choke. Megan was in the bathroom when the parrot began screaming, "Mama, baby," and flapping its wings when the child started to turn blue. Megan rushed over and performed a Heimlich, saving the girl's life.
Organ donation in Singapore.
Everyone in Singapore above the age of 21 is automatically registered as an organ donor. Opting out from this act will result in you being placed at the very bottom of the organ priority list should you need an organ transplant.
Military grade durability.
Military grade is just a marketing ploy. In the actual military, military grade means meeting the bare minimum requirements of durability while also costing the least. So the next time you see a product advertised as military grade, just remember it's probably not as tough as you think.
The woman who would not laugh.
There was an early 1900s act named Sober Sue, whose draw was she never smiled. A theater offered $1,000 to anyone who could make her laugh, attracting big comedians. Crowds came out to watch them try and fail, giving them a free show. It came out later that she suffered from facial paralysis. It's heartening to know that she was able to overcome adversity and use her condition to bring joy to so many people. There you have 25 incredible facts to help make your day. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and ring that notification bell for more fascinating facts from around the world. Thank you for tuning in, and until next time, stay curious and stay safe.